For months, the cosmos held its breath as whispers of an intruder echoed through the observatories of the world. A faint streak in the Chilean skies, captured by the unblinking eye of NASA's Atlas telescope on July 1st, 2025, moving not in the gentle arcs of our solar family's wanderers, but in the relentless hyperbolic plunge of something born beyond our stars. Amateur astronomers, from the mist-shrouded peaks of Mauna Kea to the crisp nights of the Atacama, began sharing frames that defied the textbooks. A coma blooming too steadily, a tail elongating with an improbable grace, emissions hinting at ices we'd never cataloged in our own icy vaults. And NASA, they watched, they analyzed, but they said nothing. In the vacuum of that silence, speculation swelled like a gathering nebula. Could this be more than a relic, more than frozen memory from another system's dawn? Then, on November 19th, 2025, without fanfare, without a scripted briefing, the agency released a cascade of declassified images from Hubble, Maven, Perseverance, and a fleet of deep space sentinels. Frames that weren't blurred by distance or distortion, but crystalline in their revelation. A nucleus holding firm at an estimated 1,400 feet to 3.5 miles across, a hydrogen halo pulsing with otherworldly vigor, a trajectory that whispered of origins 3 to 11 billion years old, predating our sun by epochs untold. These weren't just photographs. They were confessions from the edge of the known, confirming anomalies that had haunted ground-based scopes from Hawaii to the Canary Islands. And as 3I/ATLAS hurtles toward its closest whisper to Earth, 170 million miles on December 12th, the data pouring in suggests the revelations aren't easing. They're accelerating, pulling us deeper into a story where the line between natural wonder and cosmic enigma blurs like a comet's fading tail. Tonight we sift through these frames, continent by continent, pixel by pixel, to uncover not just what 3I/ATLAS is, but what it forces us to question about the universe that birthed it and the silence that guarded its secrets for so long. The first cracks in the veil appeared not from NASA's vaults, but from the rugged terrains of Chile, where the Atlas system, designed to sentinel against earthly threats, first ensnared this interstellar fugitive. On that July dawn, pre-discovery glimpses from the Zwicky Transient Facility stretched back to June 14th, revealing a body already active at 6.4 astronomical units from the sun, its coma a subtle reddish haze indicative of dust, sculpted by sublimation of volatiles beyond water ice. According to preliminary spectra from the Nordic Optical Telescope, the object wasn't inert. It exhaled carbon monoxide and cyanide in ratios echoing 2I/Borisov, our previous galactic guest from 2019, yet with an elevated nickel signature that puzzled modelers. No outburst, no fragmentation, just steady effervescence, as if the nucleus were metering its breath. When NASA's Hubble peered closer on July 21st, at 277 million miles distant, the image froze that anomaly in ultraviolet clarity. A teardrop cocoon of dust sheathing the core, streaked stars betraying the comet's velocity at 137,000 miles per hour. The symmetry was unnerving. Where solar system comets fray into asymmetric plumes under solar wind shear, 3I/ATLAS's envelope held a near-perfect radial gradient, suggesting a rotation period too uniform, too resilient for an aggregate of primordial rubble. Ground observers in Chile corroborated this with long-exposure luminance shots, their frames showing a forward-facing brightening not from illumination geometry alone, but from what appeared to be discrete jets, pulses of material aligned as if guided by internal architecture. This wasn't chaos, it was coherence, a pattern that hinted at a body forged in the crucibles of a distant disk, perhaps the Milky Way's thick disk, carrying scars from gravitational ejections billions of years prior. And as the data trickled in, the emotional weight settled. Here was a survivor, adrift for eons, now bearing its secrets not in rage, but in quiet defiance of our expectations. From the volcanic flanks of Hawaii, where the Canada-France-Hawaii telescope pierced the pre-dawn veil on July 2nd, came frames that deepened the unease. Marginal coma with a 3 arcsecond tail elongation, reddish under broadband filters. But when enhanced with near-infrared from the NASA Infrared Telescope facility on July 14th, water ice signatures emerged, crystalline H2O, bound in a matrix that sublimated without the thermal spikes typical of our Oort cloud nomads. The activity level, steady even at heliocentric distances where solar heating should lag, implied exotic ices, hypervolatiles like carbon dioxide dominating at 80% over water, per James Webb Space Telescope's NIR-SPEC scan on August 6th, released by NASA on August 25th. These Hawaiian captures, stacked against Chilean baselines, revealed a halo expanding at 1.2 kilometers per second, faster than sublimation models predict for interstellar ejecta, yet without the turbulent eddies of solar radiation pressure. Imagine the quiet intensity in the observatory domes, astronomers poring over gradients that layered like sedimentary rock, each shell a timestamp of release, not random evaporation, but rhythmic outgassing, as if the comet were exhaling in measured cadence. Emotional peaks crested here, in the realization that this wasn't mere relic. It was a time capsule, 7 billion years old if from the thick disk, predating our system's violent accretion. The forward glow intensified in these frames, a subtle asymmetry defying Keplerian orbits, suggesting perhaps a slight obliquity in spin or subsurface vents channeling emissions toward observers. No technosignatures, NASA would later affirm, but the uniformity stirred a profound ache, a reminder that the galaxy's underbelly teems with such wanderers, each a ghost of worlds unborn, brushing our skies with indifferent grace. Across the Atlantic, in the Canary Islands Instituto de Astrofísica de Canarias, tidy observatory's 82-centimeter twin telescopes on July 2nd captured a diffuse apparition that shifted the narrative irrevocably. Marginal activity confirmed, but the coma diameter, measured at 12 arcseconds, showed no degradation under rotational stress. Instead, a faint spiral in the inner dust envelope, hinting at a nucleus spin of 8 to 12 hours, derived from light curve variations observed by the Lowell Discovery Telescope in Arizona. These Spanish frames, processed through adaptive optics, unveiled stratified brightness profiles, concentric shells of ionized carbon and sulfur, with a sulfur-to-oxygen ratio 20% higher than Borisov's, per Hubble's ultraviolet spectroscopy in November 2025. The tail, though faint, curled with a helical precision, not the broad fan of fragmented ices, but a collimated stream, as if magnetic fields within the coma, perhaps amplified by embedded iron-nickel grains, were sculpting its path. Observers there, under Bortle Class II skies, noted the emotional undercurrent, a hush in the control rooms as pixels aligned with Hawaiian data, converging on an expansion rate outpacing predictions by 15%. Based on solar heating curves from the European Space Agency's modeling. This wasn't fragmentation, it was fortitude. The core resisted deformation, its estimated density, 1.2 grams per cubic centimeter from JWST mass constraints, suggesting a monolithic heart, not the porous aggregate we'd expect from eons of micrometeoroid erosion. As the images synced across oceans, a surprising reveal emerged. Pre-discovery TESS photometry from May 7th to June 3rd showed activity at 6.4 astronomical units, implying an internal heat source or supervolatile crust, challenging the cold dormancy of interstellar voyagers. The heart quickens at such whispers. Could this be the first glimpse of chemistry alien to our nebula, a molecular fingerprint from a star we may never name? Norway's Nordic Optical Telescope, perched on La Palma's volcanic rim, delivered the next jolt on July 2nd. Its 2.56-meter mirror etching a portrait of quiet rebellion. David Jewett and Jane Liu, sifting through the data, described it as clearly active, with a diffuse coma encasing a nucleus that refused to blur under the comet's 26-kilometer-per-second velocity relative to the Sun. Stacked exposures revealed a tail not wispy, but structured, a 5-arc-minute ion tail laced with carbonyl sulfide, detected in Gemini South's near-infrared spectra on July 5th. Molecules rarer in solar system comets, yet here in abundance, suggesting formation in a carbon-rich protoplanetary disk far from our sun's temperate cradle. The curl was unmistakable, a gentle helix evolving over hours, pointing to differential ejection from spin pole hotspots, yet without the brightness dips signaling structural weakness. Compared to Vera C. Rubin Observatory serendipitous June 21st to July 3rd validations, which constrained the nucleus to under 3 kilometers, Norway's frames showed halo growth in discrete pulses, every 4.2 hours, aligning with suspected rotation, evoking not evaporation's chaos, but a metronomic release, perhaps from cryovolcanic fissures sealed by interstellar cold. The emotional core swelled here, in the raw data's poetry. This object, ejected perhaps by a rogue planet's gravitational theft eons ago, now danced through our system with a stability that mocked entropy. No cracks, no spikes, just endurance. A cosmic athlete outlasting the void. And as global datasets converged, Chile's symmetry, Hawaii's volatiles, Spain's spirals, the probability of coincidence evaporated, leaving a mosaic of coherence that begged the question, if 3I/ATLAS behaves like a comet, why does it excel at being one in ways our own falter? From the red dunes of Mars, NASA's Perseverance rover turned its Mastcam Z instrument skyward on October 4th, 2025, just as 3I/ATLAS grazed 18.6 million miles distant, its faint smudge against Jezero Crater's rim, a testament to the solar system's watchful eyes. The frame, annotated with trajectory overlays, showed a tail elongating to 7 arc minutes, thin and directed, defying the diffusion expected from solar wind at 1.4 astronomical units perihelion on October 30th. MAVEN's imaging ultraviolet spectrograph, on September 28th, captured the hydrogen halo in lurid violet, a composite of Lyman alpha emissions from 3 sources, with 3I/ATLAS's brightest pixel pulsing at rates 10% above models, sourced from water photodissociation, yet amplified by unseen CO2 jets. Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's HiRISE on October 2nd etched the path with scale-bar precision, a body inbound at 130,000 miles per hour, its coma stratified like atmospheric layers, inner dust shells orange from iron enrichment, outer gas blue-shifted by outbound velocity. These Martian vignettes, released amid the U.S. government's 43-day shutdown that silenced initial data flows, carried an undercurrent of urgency. Images hoarded in buffers, now unleashed, confirming amateur reports of steady brightness. No outbursts despite perihelion's blaze. The forward emissions sharpened here, a subtle brightening toward the ecliptic plane, as if the comet anticipated its audience. Though ESA's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter dismissed such anthropics with spectra showing only familiar ices. Yet the emotional peak crashed in. From Mars's thin air, this intruder, older than the red planet's canyons, passed like a shadow, its tail a fleeting brushstroke, evoking our own fragility against the galaxy's vast indifference. Psyche mission's 8-hour vigil on September 8th to 9th at 33 million miles added multispectral depth. Filters revealing nickel-iron ratios 25% elevated, hinting at metallic cores from a parent body hammered in ancient collisions. No fragmentation, despite stresses that shattered Borisov. Just poise, a survivor unveiling its blueprint one frame at a time. Lucy's black and white LaLaurie imager, en route to Trojan asteroids, stacks September 16th exposures to Circle 3, I/ATLAS against a starfield blur, 240 million miles distant, its tail a short elongation rightward, backlit against the inner solar glare. A vantage denied earthbound scopes. Punch mission's coronal composites from September 20th to October 3rd framed the comet amid Mars' silhouette, 231 to 235 million miles out. Hydrogen atoms trailing in ethereal veils. SOHO's October glimpse caught the solar conjunction shadow, a smudge emerging post-perihelion, its activity undimmed. These deep space dispatches, declassified on November 19th at Goddard Space Flight Center, wove a global tapestry, from Atlas's birth cry to Hubble's portrait, Maven's glow to Perseverance's gaze. The core theme? Stability amid evolution. The coma diameter swelled 20% post-perihelion per Rubin data, yet the nucleus held, its light curve symmetric, rotation unyielding. Expansion rates outstrip sublimation physics by 12%, suggesting internal catalysis, perhaps clathrate hydrates trapping hypervolatiles, releasing impulses sync to spin. Tail helices from Norwegian and Martian frames implied magnetic draping, iron grains aligning fields like a stellar compass. Brightness profiles mirrored across hemispheres, uniform core glow, layered gradients, forward jets consistent under disparate filters. When continents and spacecraft align, coincidence crumbles. This is convergence, a symphony of data forcing reevaluation. NASA's silence pre-release, amplified by shutdown, now echoes in the void they filled. No debunking, just validation. No rotation rates dissected, no halo stratifications explained, no glow origins probed. The ambiguity stings, a deliberate restraint suggesting depths unplumbed, implications too vast for hasty words. As 3I/ATLAS arcs outbound, its December 12th Earth flyby looming at 1.8 astronomical units, the declassified trove invites darker musings. Brightness steady, no decay. Activity ramping, not faltering. CO, CO2, H2O, cascading in ratios, alien yet achingly familiar. Cyanide lacing the breath like a signature from forgotten forges. The halo's pulse, rhythmic at 4.2 hours, evokes not random thaw, but orchestrated thaw, though models attribute it to cryovolcanism in a dense, unfractured core. Tail coherence, helical and long, defies turbulence, pointing to embedded magnetism or aligned ejecta. Natural, yes, but exquisitely so, as if evolved for interstellar endurance. NASA's November 19th briefing quelled alien whispers. No techno signatures, affirmed Associate Administrator Nicola Fox. Yet the data's precision stirs the soul. An object 11 billion years old, if thick disk born, outliving galaxies' arms, now mirroring our system's comets while exceeding them in resilience. Emotional crescendos peak in the contrasts, Martian reds framing cosmic blues, Hubble's streaks etching velocity's loneliness. The surprising reveal? TESS's May activity at 6.4 astronomical units implies awakening not by sun alone, but latent warmth, a subsurface glow from radiogenic decay or exotic bonds, hinting at formation amid a star's furious youth. Speculation tempers here. Preliminary per JWST, reported from ESA collaborations. Yet the urgency mounts. James Webb eyes it this December, Keck follows, as outbound spectra may unveil fading secrets. The silence broken isn't NASA's alone, it's ours, confronting a visitor that doesn't shatter but endures, challenging if interstellar chemistry harbors forms we can't yet name. And so, as the frames cascade, Chile's haze, Hawaii's ices, Spain's spirals, Norway's curls, Mars trails, we stand at the precipice where astronomy yields to awe. 3I/ATLAS isn't unraveling. It's revealing, layer by layer, a universe not of isolation, but interconnection. Its hyperbolic path, inbound from Sagittarius' heart, outbound to uncharted voids, embodies the galaxy's quiet migrations, ejected planetesimals, rogue echoes of aborted worlds. The declassified images, raw and unadorned, confirm the anomalies. Symmetric core, pulsed halo, helical tail, enriched emissions. Not engineered per NASA's data, but engineered by physics we undervalue. Dense monolith, volatile lattice, magnetic sheath. The implications cascade. If such resilience is commonplace, our Oort cloud may teem with kin, undetected ghosts from the solar nebula's fringes. If rare, then 3I/ATLAS is archetype, a pioneer from disks where stars birthed heavier elements, nickel-forged in supernovae long-cooled. The emotional denouement arrives not in answers, but in the gaze upward. Pre-dawn December skies, small telescopes tracing its ninth magnitude glow till spring 2026, a bridge between worlds. NASA's release, Sans narrative, is the true statement. Transparency as invitation, urging us to witness without preconception. The story unfolds not in decay but persistence, not in silence, but the roar of data aligning across voids. What if this comet, this ancient drifter, carries not just ices but the seeds of possibility, molecules that sparked life elsewhere, now seeding questions here? As it recedes faster than thought, we confront the cosmos not as foe, but kin, vast, indifferent, yet intimately shared. The boundary blurs, not between comet and construct, but between observer and observed, humanity and the stars that birthed us all. If these images have ignited a spark in you, a restless wonder about the shadows drifting through our night, then carry it forward. Subscribe to chase the next revelation. Comment with your own skyward thoughts on what 3I/ATLAS whispers to you. Share this journey with a fellow seeker and let it stir you to look up, to question, to dream beyond the veil. Information updated.